So good morning and welcome to day 4 of the DataMark Virtual Public Safety Conference. I'm Jason Bivens, the Director of Business Development for the DataMark team. Just to recap a little bit about yesterday, conference day 3, we had just over 825 participants across 7 sessions, which means there was an average of 120 of you on any given session. That's awesome. The highest attended session was Don't Get Mad, Get Even, with 190 participants. We'd really like to thank our conference sponsors that provided content yesterday, and they included Hexagon Public Safety, Eurissa, Canopy Spatial, Replay Systems, and our governmental partners that provided great insight in panels and presentations. We have another great day for you of content, starting with our keynote address on health and wellness efforts in 911, followed by overcoming obstacles, building a better you. Other topics include taking mystery out of real-time text, a discussion on the top 5 NG911 GIS data validations, then on to COVID-19 response resources for GIS and the PSAP. We have a dynamic presentation on catastrophic events. Is your PSAP ready? And then closing the day off will be mitigating risk around non-conforming addressing scenarios. Before we begin, I'd like to let everyone know that today's webinar is being recorded and all attendees have been muted for quality assurance purposes. If you have a question, please use the Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer questions toward the end of the session. I encourage you to ask any questions that you have so we can make it an interactive conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Ms. Laurie Anderson. She's an E911 manager for Charlotte County, Florida's Sheriff's Office and the immediate past president of Florida NENA. I'm also excited to tell you that she's running for second vice president of National NENA and hope that you join us in supporting her. Today, she'll be speaking on health and wellness efforts in 911. Welcome, Laurie, and thanks for being with us today. Take it away.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the wellness program and what's happening today and what's going to continue to happen and how our members of the 911 industry can play a part in the process. So just a little bit more about me. I'm also besides being the 911 manager for Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, I've spent almost 3 decades in 911 in various positions. So I have a good idea and good experience working within the dispatch center and knowing some of the situations that they encounter and being able to identify some of their needs. I'm also a Florida E911 member, board member, the Florida NENA immediate past president, and also a NENA Education Advisory Board member, and also the NENA Wellness Committee co-chair, which is a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about today is that the efforts that are happening within the committee. So NENA's board had identified a need for health and wellness resources and support for the 911 community. And then a call to action began. So in June of 2019, the Wellness Continuum initiative was announced at the conference in Orlando. But what is the continuum? What is the Wellness Continuum? It's an overall continuing effort to provide end-to-end support in relation to health and wellness that it's expected to improve the conditions for members of our 911 industry. Shortly thereafter, the Wellness Committee was formed under NENA's Development Steering Council, which I may refer to time as the DSC. The Wellness Committee was tasked with identifying issues related to the health and well-being of our 911 community. Additionally, we've been tasked with finding and creating those resources that will aid our 911 families in a journey to a healthier place, both mentally and physically. The intended outcomes of this effort may ultimately lead us to improved job satisfaction, improved stability and staffing, improved work environments, and ever so importantly, the proper recognition of our 911 professionals. There's been an overwhelming amount of interest in the committee and the wellness efforts of NENA. As soon as the initiative was launched, immediately it became obvious about how much of a need there was to address the mental and physical health needs. It's been amazing to see see how important this effort is to so many people. In January of 2020, NENA's Critical Issues Forum focused on stress, wellness, and resiliency. There have been some critical issues forums in the past, but certainly none quite like this one. Typically, they address technical issues. However, the forum held in Austin, Texas, was the first of its kind. Speakers included subject matter experts in the field of mental and physical health, as well as testimonials and experiences from our front lines, which are our public safety telecommunicators. Content included presentations and discussions on stress-related topics and how to maintain sanity through it all. There was information provided about the current research evidence in health and 911, information on the development and management of peer support programs, and post-tragedy tools for managers. It was not only a great opportunity to learn, but it was also a great networking opportunity. It was a great success, and we expect to see more of these health-focused events in the future. So a little bit about the Wellness Committee. The committee consists of two co-chairs, which are Chris Fisher out of Seattle, Washington, and myself. And we are 90, as a committee, we are 99 members strong. It's definitely a unique committee. It's the largest committee. So sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to manage with, but it brings a lot of diversity to the group. It allows us to get different perspectives, and we get a lot of input on the issues. Some of the working groups that have been established so far under the Wellness Committee are the peer support. And this working group was tasked with creating a document that will guide agencies and organizations in the development and management of peer support programs. Then there's the acute stress standard. This working group is just getting started, and they're responsible for updating the current standard that was developed in 2013. Essentially, this standard provides direction for agencies to implement a comprehensive stress management program. It was determined that the standard may require more explanation in certain areas, and as well as providing a new perspective on some of the issues. Then there's the best practices, the provider best practices. Again, this is another working group that is just getting started. They are responsible for putting together an information document that will be useful for mental health care providers to effectively work with our 911 industry personnel. And it'll provide them a better understanding of the unique world that they work in and the situations that they deal with daily. So again, these are two working groups that are just starting up, and if anyone has special knowledge in any of these areas and want to participate in these working groups, you can go on to the NENA website and sign up to join those working groups. Well, the three previous groups that I talked about before have been, a definitive beginning and end. The resource committee is a little different, or the resource working group, should I say. It's a little different. It's a very small working group, and it will continue to go on indefinitely. This working group is responsible for vetting resources that are being submitted to be implemented into the 911 resource website. And I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to show you that here in a little while. I'll navigate through the site so you have a better understanding of where things are and how to work with them. So again, if you have any related information or special expertise in the subject areas of these working groups, we'd be happy to have you join those working groups. So then let's talk about what's on the horizon. We've got some other things that are coming up as a wellness committee, things that have been identified. And one of those is the development of an information guide that will guide agencies to vet mental health providers for their EAP programs. The working group hasn't been established yet. We're waiting for approval from the DSC, or the Development Steering Council, and as soon as we get that approval, we'll move forward and create that working group. So you can expect to see something on the wellness site where you'll be able to join if you're interested. Additionally, on the wellness calls, we've been talking a lot about the need for additional studies in relation to mental and physical health in 911. There are some studies that exist today, and some of those studies may be going on the resource site. We have to get approval for that first. But then there's a great deal of concern that there aren't enough studies that exist today, and maybe they're not focused on some of the areas that they really should be focused on. So with that, we are working on, as a committee, we're working on putting together a project plan that will produce additional research studies. So what's on that website that I talked about? So you will have an access to a variety of mental and health and wellness resources. Right now, there's a limited number of resources that exist today, but the working group is striving to approve additional resources to add to that site monthly. These resources are available to everyone. You do not need to have a NENA membership to access those, nor do you need to have a membership to be able to submit resources. So not only can you access and use these resources and share them at will, however you so choose, you can share those resources with your PSAPs, with your organizations, what have you. Feel free. These are open to everyone. So, and then you can also submit resources. So if you have a really good resource that you think that could be a benefit to the industry and you just don't know how or have a way to share that information, you can go on to this website and you can click on submit a resource. You fill out the form, attach the document or the URL, whatever it is that you wanted to share. And then it'll go through that vetting process. So it'll go back to the working group. They'll take a look at that resource. They're looking for documents that are timely, they're accurate, they're of quality. So before it goes up on the website, it'll be vetted to look for those things. Then additionally, there's the NENA's Wellness Continuum community. So you would join, and I'm going to show you here in a second, you're going to join that community at the bottom. Now for this, you have to be a NENA member. It's an exclusive members only benefit. But I will tell you that we are getting more and more people onto this. The other day we had, I want to say it was 2 days ago, we had 101 members on it. And then today we have 108 when I looked at it last. So we're starting to see more and more people develop an interest. And what this community does is it allows you to share experiences with each other, share information with each other, to ask other people things about some of the stuff that they're dealing with. And some of those that you could put up on your site, I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of some things that you might want to talk about or you could talk about. And that would be what you do to maintain your sanity through critical situations like what we're going through today with the COVID-19. What works for you when you've had a bad call or a bad day? What types of mental and physical health programs has your agency put into place, excuse me, to help its employees? And what types of programs or documents that we can work on that will help provide guidance in making things better in our 911 community? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slide this over here. Just because I want to show you exactly where to be able to locate these items. So when you first log on to NENA.org or you go on to NENA.org, you can go in here and under programs, go down to the Wellness Continuum, and you're going to see where you have a spot for all resources. And if you click on that resource or all resources tab, it's going to bring you to this section where we already have, I want to say it's probably 10 or 12 resources that are available to you today. And you can expect to see a whole lot more resources added. I know that there's probably about 4 to 8 that are sitting there in the wings ready to be uploaded. And eventually there will be a search field. So if you have an idea, it'll have a keyword that is associated with it. So if you wanted to look up PTSD, you can plug in PTSD, and you should be able to bring up all the resources that contain information on PTSD. Each one of these is going to be categorized, each resource, and you can see by the icons here, they're going to be categorized into sections that one icon is going to identify whether or not it's a prevention, sustainment, or intervention, and another icon that says if it's related to mindset, skill set, or culture, and then another one that's going to tell you what type of file it is, whether it's an audio, video, or some type of an event. So again, this is going to be a great resource to be able to go to, and if any of your PSAT members or anyone in the industry or organization wants to, has a special need, they can go certainly to this website and take a look around and see what you can find. Then we have the submitter resource. So you can come down here and you can plug in all of your information and then choose a file and upload it. It's very intuitive, it's really easy to use, and then it goes directly to the resource committee who will be responsible for vetting that resource. And then there's the join community. Now this is the one that, remember, up here I said all resources and submit a resource. You do not have to be a member. Sometimes some of this gets confusing on what you have to do. Do you have to be a member? Don't you have to be a member? So you can, you should not have to be a member to either access the resources or to submit a resource. The join community, however, you do have to, but I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm already logged in, I don't need to, just one second. I don't have to join community. So I'm just going to go, once you've already done that, you're going to go to my NENA account. And I'm going to look under my groups. And that would be a group that I would be associated with, which would be the NENA Wellness Continuum. And this is where you're going to be able to create posts. We've had some people put up some YouTube videos that pertain to some of the discussions that we've had. We've had some posts where we've gotten into discussions about what people are doing to try to build their immune system during this period. So it's a great way to share information. You can create a blog. A lot of good information can be received when you participate and engage in some of these discussions. So now, let's see if I can, now we're going to go on to some of the recent webinars. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to participate in some of them, but NENA's had some recent webinars. The Women in 911 Alliance, they held the Women's Health in 911. We've had information on peer support programs, information on stress, PTSD, and knowing the difference between them. And then we have an upcoming one that is therapy animals in the 911 center. But I also want to include the fact that there's a lot of other stuff going on in the industry. There's a lot of industry partners that are providing and providing webinars and information on health-related topics. So don't forget about that. Just kind of watch for the stuff that's going on and become engaged and educate yourself as much as you possibly can. And if you have information related to topics or ideas that you think that we should be creating webinars on, we're going to ask that you please send us those ideas, or even if you have content already that you think that would be a good webinar, send it to us. You can, mine and Chris's emails will be at the end of this presentation. So please feel free to shoot us an email and we'll make sure that it gets to the right people that are going to be putting together those webinars. So I know after all this, you've been questioning what it is that you can do. So I'm going to tell you what you can do. You can be an agent for change. It's going to take a lot of people and it's going to take a lot of time, but we need to change the culture in 911. We need to change the way that we think. We need to get rid of that suck it up mentality and start spending some more effort on helping our 911 families. And I'm not saying that you don't have to be strong. I'm just saying that when you need help, say something and get help. And you need to be willing to offer help when it's needed. We need to be spending more time on eating healthier foods and doing more exercise. This can be a sedentary job, but we don't want to have it eat us alive. When I was in dispatch, many times I ate because I didn't get out of the room, or I ate out of boredom on night shifts, and I ate unhealthy stuff because frankly, I just wasn't prepared. However, like I said, that was just a lack of planning on my part. We need to create healthy alternatives to our unhealthy habits. And I understand, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it, but I understand that Tim just recently did a presentation on taking small steps, to create a habit. And I have to say that I agree with that philosophy. It's not all going to happen at once, but every step we take in that direction, we're getting a step closer. Another thing you can do to become engaged to become involved and get others engaged through social media outlets. We have some great influencers out there, people like Jameson Peavy-House, who is constantly sharing tips for working at home during the COVID crisis, or Ricardo Martinez that's sharing information about the great podcasts that he regularly does. And you can get your hands on those podcasts as well. And then there's Sarah Weston of the 911 Wonder Women, and Tracy Eldridge that's constantly sharing positive messages through social media. If you're a social media user, it's a great way to share informative messages about what we're trying to achieve in relation to 911 and health and wellness. You can implement programs within your centers and offices. There are incentive programs and programs that will allow people to work together to reach similar goals. If you don't have any of these agencies in your, if you don't have any of these programs in your organization, well, guess what? You can create them. You can be that person that makes that change and get it started. You can incorporate health and wellness programs into your training program. Start educating your trainees about proper habits right from the time they walk in the door. I know NENA is working on a plan for incorporating wellness breaks into their activities for their in-person classes. And I'm not sure if you've noticed from the conference classes or from the conferences, but they've been choosing healthier choices for the meals during the day. So again, there are things that you can do. NENA's making a concerted effort to make this shift in this culture. Also educate about the importance of the benefits, top down, bottom up, and laterally. And when I say top down and bottom up and laterally, I mean from the top of the agency down, from the bottom of the agency up, and from laterally, from department to department within your organization. In all cases, to prove your point on how important it is for a healthy work environment, both mentally and physically, be armed with the facts. Do your research and put together your case. You're going to be more successful if you're armed with the facts. I can guarantee that. You're going to have people listen. Other ways to get involved. If you're a subject matter expert and have content you'd like to share, consider creating webinars and content that can be shared in our industry. Become involved in committees or working groups. We need people out there now for some of these working groups, so please get involved. And that, again, that's another way. I'm a proponent for becoming involved to educate yourself. That's how I learn quite a bit, is through becoming involved. Begin some of the efforts at the local chapters. This can be done through your communication outlets, through newsletters and through blogs and through email blasts. There's so much that you can do at the chapter level to get the information out and to get people engaged. And again, like I said, become involved in discussions and blog writing. Participate in surveys when requested. As we move forward into research studies, I'd expect that you would maybe called upon to participate in some manner in these surveys. So absolutely take a part in that if you can. Again, Educate yourself. Know what's out there and what's available, and get involved. Practice self-care. And that, when I say self-care, that means taking care of yourself. You cannot take care of someone else if you're not taking care of yourself first. You need to surround yourself with like-minded people. I've always explained to our new trainees not to get involved with people that are negative, because negativity breeds negativity. I truly believe that being around positive people will help you stay positive. Oops, I did it again. Keep moving here. And last of all, be a role model. No one's going to pay attention or pay any mind to someone who is preaching good mental health strategies if they see that person struggling themselves and are continuously stressed out. Additionally, they're not going to listen to anyone who stresses good eating habits but walks in the door with a McDonald's bag and a Coke every day at the beginning of their shift. So I'd strongly suggest, making those changes for yourself, remaining positive, and sharing that information and being a role model for other people. So with that, I think we're coming up on the half hour here. And if there's any question, I do have a poll question, and I'm sorry, I don't know that I may be able to get to all of these, but I want you to commit yourself and to think about this question. What is the one thing that you plan to do over the next 6 months, either personally, organizationally, or for the industry, to improve health and wellness in 911? I want you to think about that. I want you to, once you've got that in your mind, I want you to make a commitment to that and see what you can do, because I certainly believe that you can achieve great things when you put your mind to it. And if it's something that you believe in, you're going to make it happen. Okay, and let's see if we have any questions. Are there any questions that we have?
Yes, Laurie, there's several questions. The first one is from an anonymous attendee, and they say, Laurie, thanks for tackling health and wellness. What got you interested in tackling the health and wellness in 911?
Well, health and wellness has always been important to me, and I fall off the wagon from time to time. We tend to shift back and forth, but overall, my own personal health is important to me. And so that is one of the reasons. But, when this initiative began, NENA reached out and had requested that, I get involved in this effort. And again, like I said before, anything that you truly believe in, you will make happen. And I think that we are pushing along. There's a lot of people that believe in this effort, and so we're all in it for the same reasons. So I hope that answers that question.
Yep, absolutely. The second question is, how have these resources helped in your PSAP?
Well, we have programs right now that are available through our risk management. We have a risk management office, and they are very active and they include our PSAP into the health and wellness efforts. Like I said, they're very active. So they include not only our whole agency, but our PSAP as well.
Awesome. Can you tell us how NENA's health and wellness might help us in our efforts to become more recognized as first responders? And is there data available, such as use case or success stories?
Okay, so how it's going to help us to become recognized?
More recognized as first responders.
So, and I think some of that's going to come along with the studies. Okay, those studies, when we can start showing how that PTSD or telecommunicators are affected by PTSD and stress and sleep issues and all of that stuff that goes along with it. We really have to do these studies to be able to support what it is that we want to achieve. So I think that this effort in itself, and as soon as we can start getting these studies ramped up, and there are some studies out there, but I don't think that it's enough. I don't think that we have enough participants involved in these, and I don't think it's widespread, and I don't think that they're continuous enough.
Gotcha. Yeah, and one of the things that hit me, that you were saying, is I'm a stress eater, and so when I was in the Peace app, man, that was my go-to answer to any kind of stress there was. So that really kind of hit home. Two more questions. I know we're running just a couple minutes over, but I think we can knock them out. Incentive programs seem to be a good idea, but I'm not a marketing whiz. What are some ideas to involve other community organizations to contribute to our incentive programs?
Well, once you develop those incentive programs, I mean, you can reach out to them and get them to participate in them. We do incentive programs when it comes to weight loss, and we make kind of games out of them, or it's kind of like a competition. So, and also about the eating healthier and that type of thing. So just really it is getting other people to, you know, just reach out to them, let them know that what you're doing, the reason why you're doing it, and just trying to get them to participate in that same effort.
Awesome. And then the last question is, we're afraid to reach out for help when we experience symptoms of PTSD. With 99 members strong, is there an effort to focus heavily on PTSD?
To focus on what?
PTSD.
Yes, and that has been a topic of discussion, and that's also part of that stress management standard about developing a comprehensive stress management program within your own organization. So yes, definitely PTSD is going to be one of the items that is focused on within this committee.
All right, and then we did just get one more question, so we're going to take it. Any more questions that come in after this, we're going to refer. I'll refer to Laurie, and she can answer in a pre-recorded response. How would you respond to the people who say that stress impact to the dispatching profession isn't any different than any other occupation, such as nursing? What makes dispatching unique in the stress world?
Because they have, their experience is different. They are not hands-on. They are visually hearing. It's a different world. Now we're going to start with next generation, and that's going to be another thing that needs to be addressed. We are going to start visually seeing some of these horrible incidents or high impact incidents that are happening. We're going to be able to visually. So it's going to start affecting us even differently. But it just happens to be the way that we have to deal with stuff because we are not seeing it. We visualize it. Some things we internalize when stuff is happening because we, as telecommunicators, you're the first ones that are dealing with that incident. And I think that makes a huge difference.
And I know, Laurie, for me, a lot of my folks told me that one of the problems that they face is they couldn't get closure on it. So they didn't know what the result was. Whereas a healthcare professional in a hospital that has that patient generally can give that kind of answer.
And if you're fortunate enough in the agency, and maybe that's something too that you can reach out to certain individuals, we've always had what they call watch commanders, and the watch commanders come and they give us information back. So they'll even try to follow up days afterwards after an incident to get that outcome and then be able to share it with our dispatch center so they get some type of closure. So that might be something to consider. Yeah,
that's a great thing to consider, especially if you have that relationship already.
Right, yes.
Hey, well, thank you so much for an awesome presentation. I know you won't give yourself a shameless plug, so I will. Go to #Anderson for second VP or #Anderson for second VP and give her a vote on your ballot. If you are still here, you might be a little late for Overcoming Obstacles, Building a Better You with Brian McMurdo. And that's going to be a great session that's currently streaming. So I'll let you guys get over to that. Have a great day. And again, Laurie, thanks.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.